Hey, everybody. We're going to start today's talk off about fear.
Fear. So, Kimberly, you wrote some stuff up about fear, and
I did.
we're going to talk about fear today. So, why don't you take it away? Why don't you start? I'm Sean Black, Norse Pagan Shaman. Kimberly.
Hey guys, I am Kimberly Taylor, the Alabama root worker. As you can see, I got my mask on. I made it myself. I turned this shit upside down because this is so fucking un-American. Okay, so like I take my hits where I can, right? So
And
I want.
if I got to go to Walmart for some reason, this is what I put on my head, and it's entertaining as fuck.
I think they asked for that. So and it looks really good on you.
Well, maybe next time I'll wear like a black robe, you know.
Right? Go ahead, go full character on them, right? Right. If they want to be scared, give them a reason, right? So, I'm Kimberly Taylor, the Alabama root worker. If you need some spell help, I'm your girl.
Yeah.
If you need some mundane help, I'm also your girl because I really work in energies, whether it's something you fast track manifest through magic, or you just want to manifest something really great in your own life. Okay. So Sean and I have that in common. He is a energetic master. So I don't want to skip over that and not tell people what a great worker he is. So if you guys need some help energetically, Sean is also somebody really you guys need to reach out. There's not many topics that I will hit that Sean doesn't know exactly what I'm talking about and maybe a step above me. So make sure that you guys are checking him out. Okay. But today we wanted to touch base. Yep, just being honest, right? I'm just here to be sexy, right? That's what I do. I'm just here to look good. Sean is the guy who knows everything, right? Right. So, but I hope you guys will learn some stuff while I look so beautiful, and I hope that you can get past that. Okay. So, today we're going to talk about fear, right?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Own it, right? If you're going to do it, own it. So today we're going to talk about fear because in our community, and I say our community in the heathen community, which I'm Norse and Hindu. So we're talking about the Norse community, but we're also talking about other communities too. In our community, there is a certain way we should be handling fear that we're not doing, right? So that's why Sean and I are here together, and I'm going to talk about what fear is and how some things that it can do to you, and he's going to talk about, as a heathen, the best way for you to approach it and overcome it.
Yeah,
right? That's what we're here about.
In this production, I'm going to do my best to win that Oscar for Best Supporting Actress, or actor, or whatever, So seriously,
did I give that for
about it, but we're going to bounce a couple of ideas back and forth as you wrote the majority of this stuff up, and I thought it was really good, and I thought you should present it as such. And
okay.
And I'm just going to interject a little bit here and there, and then we can dive into the real deep parts about what fear is and what we can do to not be led around by our emotions in general, but this emotion that we're talking about tonight is definitely about fear. So
right.
All right.
Right.
Well, I'm not going to get in the
so
way.
Let's jump in and. Yeah, you're good. So we're going to jump into what fear is, and fear is a natural emotion and a survival mechanism. And when we confront something as a perceived threat, whether it's real or imagined, our bodies respond in a specific way. Physical reactions to fear can include sweating, increased heart rate, high adrenaline levels, and cortisol, and they make us extremely alert. It affects you in these ways. It'll affect you mentally, emotionally, physically, and even spiritually. Mentally, fear causes shutdown in certain chemicals and an increase in others inside of the brain. It creates a vicious cycle of fear and anxiety. Stress builds up a part of the brain known as the amygdala, right? So, and I had to practice that word a couple of times because I'm not a brain expert. But this is your.
That's how we learn how to say new words. I mean, that's how it's done.
That's how you do it.
Yep.
So, and your amygdala, this is where your fear center is actually located. So stress can result in a cycle of fear and stress. It halts production of new brain cells. So when you guys are really super stressed out, you're actually not making new brain cells. Your brain is dying off as you're stressing, okay? Cortisol stops the production of brain-derived neurotropic factor. This actually changes thought patterns, and it changes thinking to critical thinking. Then everything becomes a problem because you're actually in a problem solving mode, right?
Mhm.
So things that would be really small during this part of the cycle of your brain is going to become a mountain, even if it's a small
Yeah,
molehill.
things that would only require you to be just normal, responsive, all of a sudden become emergencies. Everything becomes a fucking emergency, you know?
You become Chicken Little. The fucking
That's
sky's
right.
falling.
Yep, that's
Right.
correct.
Right. So that's what happens actually in the brain. But emotionally, fear is important for survival. But long exposure can lead to other emotions, including depression. Now, you guys listen up, because if you're having some of these symptoms, you're stressed the fuck out and you're in a fear mode, right? Depression, unhappiness, moodiness, anger, irritability, feeling of overwhelmed, loneliness, isolation, and other emotions that become even more problematic. It can lead to emotional thinking instead of logical thinking.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so let's talk about
So,
that for a second.
right.
Emotional thinking versus logical thinking. When you're being run around by your emotions, that only leads to stronger emotional response in most cases. Very rare cases, you recognize what you're doing and you're like, stop, hold up. But most of the time, that's actually a physiological response. That stop and hold up is where you start having heart palpitations and you get to feeling a little bit dizzy and you got to sit down. And that happens to a lot more people than you think. When we're sitting here talking about it, not in a fear state, that sounds like such a foreign thing, but for people who are experiencing that fear state, it's fucking real. And then what happens then is your logic is so diminished that you are willing to listen and ingest information that would never have been considered for part of your construct of reality before. In other words, like somebody could tell you some really, really stupid shit and you'll just buy it. You'll just be like, oh my God, that's happening, No, it really isn't. And it's because that separation, that minute little separation between your logical brain and your emotional brain has been widened. And then the only thing that's working is the emotional brain, and every little stupid ass suggestion that comes your way sounds either like it's actually happening or like that's a really great idea, even though it's not.
And I also see where a lot of times where people are in this state of emotional stress, fear, thinking, that it also can develop like post-traumatic stress disorder. And I believe in some ways that's how it's developed, is that if you do get into a situation that you're, like I was in the military and a bombing and stuff like that. Well, if you don't deal with that and that part of your brain stays turned on, it actually compounds over time. You see?
Yeah, sure does.
So,
yeah, you start to live in a perpetual state of cortisol. And,
fight or flight.
And that breaks your body down. It's not meant for long-term use. It's meant for very, very short-term use, just long enough to get you out of danger. We're going to talk about some things that you can actually do that will stop that physiological response from occurring, and also stop your emotional brain from doing its thing, all in one step. And it's super easy to do. We'll talk about that after we get.
Yeah, I'm excited to know what that is, because every tool that we get from you is we are one step closer to our ancestors and how they would do things, and our ancestors treated fear so differently than we do, right? Totally. Like we're a bunch of pansies. I don't know what's happened to us. So,
we've been molded that way, but that's a discussion.
Right, that's another discussion that'll be next week, right?
Yeah, right.
All right. So let's talk about right. So let's talk about the physical.
About the Roman Empire and its conquering of the entire world.
Right, and how we're sick of it, and I'm ready to buy my own town and just start all over.
Right.
United States of Sean Black paganism. That's what we're going to call it. So, and just to let you guys know, right? I want to tell you that there's that guy in the white van again. I hope he doesn't kidnap me. He doesn't have tacos. There's no tacos on that van. Every time I come down here, there's this guy with a white van, right? But you have to have tacos and crystals to kidnap me, right? And also you have to have
in my neighborhood. He writes free ammo on the side of his van. Fucker almost got me one time.
See, you would have got me. I'm stupid. I would have been like, free ammo. What you got? Okay, so let's get back to the task at hand.
Yeah.
We'll get ADHD here. All right, so physically, we'll talk about what stress does to you physically. And physically, it causes, now this is just, and I have a spider. All right, so physically, it can cause headaches, low energy, upset stomach. It also can cause like diarrhea, constipation, nausea, IBS, and Crohn's disease. So if you're having any of those, pay attention, right? It also causes tense muscles. So that will cause like a whole lot of aches and pains. And some people actually develop fibromyalgia from this.
Mm-hmm.
So just to let you know, I think personally that's where it comes from, right?
Well,
so it also can cause
one source. It's
yeah.
Fibromyalgia is not a diagnosis; it's just a symptom, but it can be presented in a variety of different ways. But go ahead.
Yeah, and ultrasound, because you guys don't know this, right? But I have like a college degree. Woohoo! All right. So in ultrasound, like when I look at anybody who has fibromyalgia, you can actually see the pockets, the nerve endings having fluid in them.
Right.
So fibromyalgia is caused from many things.
Yep.
This could be one of them, though, right?
Sure,
so
it is. It is definitely one of them.
So it also can cause a rapid heartbeat. And over time, I want you to know that rapid heartbeat can also complicate and cause other problems. It can cause mitral valve prolapse. So if you're having mitral valve prolapse, you might want to check that out too. It causes insomnia. Yeah.
All these symptoms sound really, really scary, and we're here talking about fear. This is funny. Go ahead.
Right. Well, and that's because what is fear is a certain vibration. And what does it track? Things with that same vibration. We'll go into that in a minute, right?
Physical manifestations of the vibration. You're right. Yeah, go ahead. Carry on.
Right. Okay. So it can cause insomnia, colds, infections, and loss of sexual desire. Nobody wants that. Okay. Spirituality is separate from our eternal selves, right? So now we're going to the spiritual part of this. It actually separates us from our eternal selves and any part of us on any other dimension, which is actually every dimension.
Right.
Right now, even though you're sitting here, there are parts of you in every dimension aware of everything that's going on and the fact that we are all co-creators, right? So we can no longer in this state hear our true voice and make appropriate adjustments. Because when we're cut off from our higher selves, we only have the things that are around us to help guide us, right? It's like our guiding system is off. We're flying blind and solo.
And the only thing that can cut you off from your higher self is you. And you do that by embracing a low vibration. And it's like, it's a fucked up snowball effect that occurs to people. And a lot of people, they spend their whole lives in that snowball effect. It starts.
It also goes back to that. Oh, I'm sorry, excuse me. It also goes back to that being fragmented. You know what I mean? Like you have talked about that so many times, like in the Parts of Self series that you do. So that's something to really think about too. If you're not feeling like yourself, if you're always feeling like you're disconnected or that you're unhappy, that can be a spiritual symptom of many things, but fear is one of them, right?
Yep.
All right. So this lack of communication also causes us to rely solely on our energetic realm that we're stuck in. And it can hinder higher plane spirits from guiding us. So if you can't hear yourself, you can't hear your ancestors, you can't hear the other divine entities that are out there to help, right? Since stress is being here now and wanting to be somewhere else, because that's really what stress is. Stress is, okay, so, I have this thing that's due at 5 o'clock, I'm not going to get it done. Instead of being here now, I'm worried about 5 o'clock. So that's what stress is.
Perfect example. Yeah.
Right. So since stress is being here now and wanting to be there, staying in fear can actually cause us to not deal with the here and now. So you're not living moment by moment. You're living your life somewhere else in your headspace. And mundanely, you're skipping, you're missing, you're not being connected and paying attention to things around you. And that even goes like if you're really into paganism and heathenry like Sean. Somebody like him wouldn't even be able to notice the land spirits that are chirping behind them. You see what I mean? Like he would notice that if he wasn't here and now. And so that's a really good indication to check yourself on. If you're in the here and now, what are you noticing?
Right.
Yesterday I was out swinging the baby. She was making all this, noise and stuff like that, but I still heard an owl behind me going hoo-hoo really lightly. Yeah. So, that is a here now check for everybody.
Perfect example. Yeah, that's
And
great.
and Sean does some meditations too to help with the eyes and the ears and things like that.
Mhm.
So if you feel like you are here now but you're not really grounding yourself in the here now, Sean is the person for that too. Guys, he does great meditations. We'll get back to that. Sorry.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah. So staying in fear actually causes us not to deal with the here and the now. Instead, it keeps us anxious about the future.
Yep.
So if you find yourself always thinking about the future and never really, figuring out what's going on in this moment, you're not living your life. You guys are not doing yourselves any kind of justice.
No, you're just being a
How to
Christian, really.
manage, right? Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Right. Like I'm doing this for a different reason, not because I'm just here now enjoying life.
Right.
All right, so how to manage fear. Now, this is where Sean is going to start taking over here some, because how to manage it, you can do it through any kind of technique that is going to bring you to that here and now that we're talking about, like breathing techniques. Sean is really good with breathing techniques. Meditation is a really good way to make sure that you're staying where you are in the here and now. And also, I encourage everyone to turn off that fucking TV. Okay, so let me explain something, okay? The sun rises, the sun falls. It's not your fucking job, okay?
Yeah.
And everything that goes on in the world is not your fucking business, right? If you walk into your house and it's nasty and you ain't got no groceries, why the fuck are you watching the news worrying about what's happening to everybody else in the world? You should be focused on what the fuck you're doing.
Right.
Okay, ran over, right? But everybody
Good
turn
rant.
your fucking TV off.
That's a good
It's not your
rant.
fucking job, right? And if we all do our fucking job, we have no problems. But the shit we're seeing now is because everybody thinks that everybody else is their problem. But in truth, right, everybody is like in this society, now a little rant, a little longer, but in this society, we're actually taught not to care about self. Like I should care about what you need more than I care about me. Be selfless, right?
Good slave
Like,
behavior.
that's what I should do. Really good slave behavior. But in truth, that is so crazy. Like, you want me to stop caring about me just so I can care about you?
Mhm.
Like, what kind of sick shit is that, right? So on the count of three, everybody get in and take care of your own selves. That way, you're not having these issues. You're not seeing all this stuff go on around you. I mean, I see that all the time. People just are not minding their own business. They're watching news night and day. And then I see them say, oh, what's next? What's next? Well, fuck, stop doing that, because every time you say that, you're sending that fucking vibration rocket out, right?
Yep. Yeah.
And then we're seeing the next thing.
Yep.
And you guys are doing it collectively. So I'm going to shut up now because that's my rant. I'm over for real this time. But Sean is going to talk about some stuff that he,
Yeah.
right. So Sean is going to talk about some stuff that that he can help us to help manage this fear. So I'm going to give it over to this shaman here because he knows lots. Go ahead.
All right, cool. So first and foremost, we got to know anytime you got any kind of situation, you got to identify what you're dealing with, right? So
Right.
fear is one of a few really powerful, really low vibrations. Okay. Now there's a couple of things about low vibrations, a couple of sort of physics, if you will, about low vibrations that you have to understand. When you're in a low vibration, or when you choose to do this, okay, you have to remember that you have a choice. Your will is being led by somebody else's will. You're giving your will over to somebody else already if you're experiencing any kind of low vibration, particularly fear. Okay, so one of the things that you come to recognize about when you've done lots of energy work, you start to recognize that low frequencies make everything move slower. This is not always a bad thing, but in the case of fear and some of these other low frequencies, that means that it takes for fucking ever to get your ass out of it and to move, because it's low and it's slow. Okay, so when you start raising your vibration, what you discover is that it becomes easier and easier and easier as you go to get out of that fucking mess. So the first part of it is recognize what you're dealing with. Okay, so low frequency energy, we're surrounded by it all the time, but we're also surrounded by some really high frequency energy, such as the sun. So one of the first things, and that's one of the parts of what I want to talk about here, while you're engaging in the breathing exercises that I'm about to tell you about, do it in the sun at noon, or do it at dusk while you're looking at the sun, because that's one of the few times when you can actually look at the sun, or in the morning as the sun's coming up. So twilight and noon, those are three separate times when you can do some really effective meditation to raise your vibration, get yourself out of the fear. Okay. Now, there's
Now,
lots
not to
of,
break in, but that's also how we charge. Sorry, there's a bug.
oh,
All right, so that's also how we charge a lot of our crystals.
yeah, sure. And that's why. That's
That's why.
exactly why.
Okay, go ahead.
Yep. So, so those are the times that you want. Those are going to be the times when you can maximize it. That's not the only time, of course. These breathing exercises, they work all the time, because one of the beautiful and powerful things about breath, okay, is that it aligns your spiritual or energetic self, your mental or psychological self, and your physical self, your body. It aligns them all three together in the same frequency of your breathing. Now, the study of this subject, okay, has been done probably best by the folks from India, or at least their material has survived better than anybody else. And they call it pranayama. Okay.
They sure do.
Yes, they do, and it's super, super powerful. There's hundreds of different ways to breathe for different specific circumstances, or to align yourself, change your energetic flow. It's like changing the flow of energy with a dial, okay? And it works 150% of the time. It's super, super cool, and it's super easy, but you have to remember that you can do it. So when you're deciding, after you've decided on a couple of breaths that you think that you can do, or that resonate with you or whatever, and there's hundreds of them out there. I'll teach you one called vagus nerve breathing. But when you've decided what to do, what you have to do is practice it, so that when it comes time to do it, and you're in that stressful circumstance, and you can feel that low vibration, and you can feel the anxiety and all the other shit happening to you, right? It's automatic. You just automatically do it. It's kind of like rehearsing for a Broadway musical. You think those people walk up there and just do it? No, they practice and practice and practice, so that when they're standing in front of all these people who are staring at them, some of them falling asleep, some of them totally disinterested in what's going on up there, they don't get that anxiety trapped in themselves. They automatically start to do the breathing. They automatically start to do the performance, and then that's it. So the performance of the breathing is what we practice during those times when we don't have stress, like dusk and dawn and noon. Okay, when the
Energetically, those 3 times of the day in our workings actually mean something as well.
Oh yeah, go
So
ahead.
if you want to start something new, you always do it right before dawn, so that the rising of the sun, that vibration can actually build it, right?
Yes.
And if you want something done that you want it to be at complete fruition, you do it at high noon so that it has full power. And then if you're trying to rid yourself of something or banish something, you can do it toward the setting sun, so the sun will go down on it, because the vibration is actually losing momentum as it goes.
Yep.
So that's just another great example of, if you guys are interested at all in any kind of spiritual spell working or anything like that, there's science to this, guys. It's not just me,
really is.
shaking my stick, or going out and chanting some stuff and well, we don't know how it happens. It is really an energetic flow that scientists just cannot figure out yet.
Well, some of them can. The guys, and I'm trying to defend scientists a little
I guess
bit,
like the mainstream is what I mean. The ones who
totally. No, I knew that.
Right.
I understood. But where you'll find that kind of stuff, the guys who are doing stuff in the field of epigenetics and in the field of quantum theory and quantum mechanics, they're all coming up, and astronomy. The astronomers and all these mathematicians, they're all figuring this stuff out a little bit as we go, and it's really a fascinating thing to watch. But they're catching up. It just took them.
Yes, because they're starting to see some things now that we have known as workers for a long time.
Right.
Like certain energies or certain things, and you guys will see. Like if you're on my page at all, I talk about moldavite, right?
Yeah, right. That's a great example.
It hit like 50 million years ago. It is Palladian, right? Yep. And if you guys know anything about Palladians and the structures of Gaia and things like that, you'll know what I'm talking about. But it has a really cool frequency, and just to get it in your possession will change your frequency. So, they're just now finding this. Right, they're just now finding that out. But we've been playing with this Palladian rock for I don't know how long, right?
Right.
Like we know what it does.
Moldavite wasn't the first energetic influence of that nature. There's a bunch of other ones too.
Yes.
but then we're getting into subtle energies and how astronomy works, or I mean astrology works, and all that kind of stuff. And
Right.
that's important stuff, and that's why it's important. That's not my focus, and that's not my cup of tea. But I do listen to the folks who understand that stuff, and I learn a lot from them. So it's
right, right. Because it like those kinds of energies are going to disrupt you whether you like them or not.
That's right.
Like I don't know how many people I have sent like Moldavite oil to.
Yeah.
They cry for a couple of days, their life changes. All of a sudden, they've quit their job, left their old man, and moved along in life, and they're happy, right?
Yeah.
So, because it has such a vibration that's so high that we as humans are striving to get that vibration.
Now, that's something else I want to talk about with regard to fear. But before I do, I want to talk about this this really simple breathing technique that you can do.
Okay.
That'll be really helpful. This isn't really, really old. It's the folks who study pranayama are very familiar with it. But it's very simple to do. But you got to practice it those 3 times, like I told you, and you got to practice it before you actually have to use it, just like martial arts or anything else, right? Okay, so that breathing technique is very, very simple. You breathe in as slowly as you can until you're full, and then you hold for just a second, and then you breathe out as slowly as you can, okay? When you're doing this, you put a smile on your face, okay? And I know that sounds goofy, right? But it really does matter. You put a smile on your face while you're doing this, and what you're doing is you're physiologically tricking your body into understanding that, hey, you know what? Everything's pretty much okay. It's cool,
That takes you to the state of Om. I just did it.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I just did, and that's exactly where it took me. Okay.
Isn't it cool?
Because, like, I wasn't even trying to smile, but I had a little smirk on my face while I was doing it and didn't realize until you said that, and then I smiled, right?
Yeah.
So that's a perfect balance breathing. Now, if you guys don't know, like I do a lot of meditations, like I can't teach it for crap, but I understand frequencies and stuff like that. And I just did that, and that took me into an Om state, which takes like some people years to get to.
Yeah, it's super easy to do. It's actually getting easier and easier as we descend a little bit. But I want to talk about that too. The whole society sort of descending into fear is okay. Back to energy for a second, so this will make sense. Okay. Energy moves in waves. It goes down and it goes up, and it goes down and it goes up, right? And it never stops doing that. So when we have a downswing in the general population of low frequency energy, what that means is that eventually we're going to come up to the top of it, and it's going to be we're going to come out of it, okay? And that's this is a small cycle, maybe less than a year. There are much smaller cycles and much bigger cycles, of course. But fear, you're just not going to stay in that position, But there are lots of folks that benefit from the whole society being in a fear state. There's even critters in other dimensions that harness that energy, that emotional energy. Because that's what emotions are. They're pure energy. So, and for those of you that understand energy and understand emotion and understand manifestation work, you know exactly what I'm talking about. I'm just talking about it on a much larger scale. So if you understand that things that happen on a very, very small scale also happen on a very big scale, you may know that as the, as above, so below. You may have heard it said that way. It
takes it up decibel points, just like it would in any other kind of energy that you're looking at. Right.
Sure. Yeah. Just like the water going down the drain is exactly the same as a hurricane. They're just on different scales.
Right.
If you're a microbe in the sink, that's a fucking hurricane to you.
Right. Perspective. Right.
Yeah. If you're a piece of bacteria floating around in the water, that's crazy shit. What's happening? Just like when we're sitting in a hurricane, that's crazy shit. It seems real chaotic, but there's actually a lot of order to it. So another part of the fear is, even if you don't use any of these tools, even if you don't understand any of this stuff, if you just keep your head on your shoulders for a little while, you will get to the end of it, But that's not good enough for the folks watching this. I mean, you guys want something better. You want better for yourselves. You're trying to learn how to manifest better shit in your life. And better opportunities and all kinds of stuff like that. And so whenever the whole fucking world is afraid of something, right, that also presents us with opportunities. It presents us with opportunities to do really great shit or really fucked up shit, or both. That's on you, though. That you decide as a creator what you're going to do with that. But
Right. And in the world of creating, as being a creator,
Yep.
if there is no resistance, there is no movement.
there's no
So if
growth.
there's
There's
no
no energy.
movement, there's no growth. Right. So every time that you have some kind of resistance in your life, you do have a way of being able to to change the outcome of how you deal with it.
Yeah.
But that resistance is always going to be there. It's a part of this plane and it's always necessary.
Yeah, definitely. And this particular state of resistance is really really amazing, and it's doing some really cool things. Like it's finally polarizing some people to either shit or get off the pot as far as what they're afraid of, with regard to things like everything from wearing the mask or not wearing the mask to going in public
Right.
and all that kind of shit. And I do want to say something else about the mask thing. Okay, I'll give people all kinds of shit for wearing a mask, but the truth is, if they want to do it, they should be able to do it.
Yes.
Nobody should be telling them you can't fucking wear a mask. That's not what's happening, really. People are shaming other people because they're not wearing a mask. It's quite the opposite. But my point is this: wear one.
Do what the fuck you want.
Yeah, exactly. If you think you need to wear one, you got my vote. I'm down for that. I might give you a little bit of shit if you're my friend, but I don't really care. You're doing what's best for you.
Now, the internal indicator for that is, does it make me happy?
Right.
You see?
Yeah,
like,
sure.
I really judge my life on things of how does it make me feel on the inside. So
Sure.
if you put on a mask and it makes you feel really shitty, you probably shouldn't be wearing one.
Right. Yeah. But and there's also people that have to wear a mask, and I want to talk about that too. For those of you that have to wear a mask, the breathing exercises are even more critical for you guys, especially if you keep it on and you got to wear it because some stupid fucker who doesn't understand biology and doesn't understand human physiology is telling you that wearing a mask is good, or that you have to, or you're going to lose your job. And there's a lot of you out there in that position. I understand. All joking aside, I really do get it. But you need to look into some good breathing exercises to help get that excess of CO2 out of your blood, because what that CO2 does in your blood, and lots of other things that typically come out when you're doing proper breathing, that stuff makes your blood more acidic. Okay, the releasing of that stuff is what brings a slightly alkaline state to your system, and physiologically that's when your system works best. That's when your immune system works best. It's when your neurology works best, and all of your supporting organs, and especially your endocrine system, they all work the best. And it's just slightly alkaline. Okay, in that kind of environment, that's the optimal environment for us.
So what you're saying is the fact that healthcare workers are made to wear masks, or certain people in their jobs are made to wear a mask,
Right.
can actually put them at more risk.
Yeah,
because
for things like cancer and a variety of other things. Cancer is probably the first one, because cancer gets wiped out it cannot survive in that slightly alkaline environment that I'm talking about. Okay, and it's not so much a matter of getting more oxygen in as it is a matter of getting the waste products out.
Right.
And there are a number of them. We actually, it should be considered part of the gas excretory system. And there's folks out there that understand a lot more about it than I do, that can make it a lot more clear. But just from
now, I'm not a doctor, but I play one on this YouTube channel, right, with my so. But since I have, like, here, they've started making us wear a mask. Everywhere we go, you have to be in public within 6 feet. You have to have it on. I started taking a tablespoon of baking soda a week and a glass of water. Right. Because that does actually help with some of that.
Uh-huh.
Baking soda actually, when I had cancer years ago, was one of my regimens that I used.
Yeah.
Because it helps to take the acidity away.
Right, it does. Now, not all things are that way. For example, lemon juice and lemon rind are highly acidic, but if you take them into your blood, they help to adjust your blood to a more alkaline state.
Right, they help balance, exactly.
So it's not. A lot of people make this mistake. They say that, well, okay, so I need to make my blood more alkaline, so I need to dump more alkaline stuff in my blood, or in my face. And it doesn't really work that way. You have to understand which things do that successfully. And
so is baking soda one that will do that?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah, because I noticed that, like, I also have IBS, like you guys. Thanks for joining us on this, me telling all my business, right? But if you have a little bit of IBS, a lot of women do have it. And I did notice that when I started taking the baking soda, it also helped with that.
Right. Yeah.
So,
And there's folks with acid reflux and they've got all these fucking drugs for them when really apple cider vinegar works for most people.
I
Not
take that
everybody.
every
Some
day
people,
too.
yeah. Yeah. Not, it doesn't work for everybody. I mean, some people have real fucked up systems that require a lot more than just that, but that's always a good place to start. And your diet in general can change a huge amount of what the way you respond to the world around you.
So your diet can affect how you transmute fear.
Exactly. That's
Okay.
exactly correct. Yep.
Okay.
It definitely does. And I'm not one of these guys that's telling you to go vegetarian or vegan, and I'm not telling you to go only eat meat. Some of those things work for some people and some work better for others. But the real most important thing that most people miss, and this is where my subject matter expertise is, the toxicity part. Okay. Are you getting your food from a good source? Okay. Now, the same thing goes for feeding your mind. If you're sitting in front of a television every day, you're not feeding your mind from a good source. You know, there are other options out there. Explore them, or go read a fucking book or something. You know, put the fucking phone down. This silicone addiction right here can destroy your fucking life, and it starts by keeping you in a low frequency like fear. Now, this one isn't as bad as television because you have fewer choices on television, right? But this can be equally as bad. This is where discipline comes into the long-term reduction of fear. Okay. And sometimes we need help with that. I do consults on this all the time. How do I get rid of fear? Okay. Well, first thing you do is you turn off the television and start eating right. You know, that's it. Start doing breathing exercises. You know, if you're having a panic attack right now, the breathing exercise can turn it around immediately. You know, it can turn around asthma attacks, all kinds of things.
So we do see, and I'm going to tell you guys that, like Sean is my doctor, Dr. Sean, and anytime that I have like any kind of doctor's appointment or anything go on, he's like the person that I call either before I go or after I go, and he'll tell you it's true. And he doesn't mind me worrying and pestering him about health and stuff like that because he's shaman. That's what he does. So I do want to tell you guys, if you are having some issues physiologically from just the fear of it all, the stress of it all, if you're having any kind of health problems, I encourage you guys to reach out to him to let him guide you on a way that you can get yourself back in a more harmonized, physiological way so that you can actually get back to being unfragmented so you can get back to being yourself. Sean is really good at this kind of stuff. Like he probably knows more, than most doctors, like being honest. Like so I call Sean and I'm gonna tell on myself here, but my thyroid is gone, right? And so the first call I make is to Sean. He's like, "Oh, do you put you on this certain kind of medication?" And it wasn't the medication they put me on, but I was really surprised that he knew that. Like, because Sean doesn't have thyroid problems. So looking at him, he looks like he's the epitome of health, that he may not know about a lot of different disease processes and stuff like that. I assure you guys, nothing is going to slip by him. And if he doesn't know, he's going to find out for you.
Right. Yeah.
Like,
And
yeah.
there's a reason that what I do is not, I don't give medical advice. What I do is I give you advice on how to tune your energy. But the thing is, there's a whole bunch of toxicity and a whole bunch of medications and a variety of other things that affect your energy. And so I have to know about that stuff in order to guide you into a better energetic state.
Yes.
So that's why I'm not a doctor. I don't pretend to be, not even on TV.
Oh, I will.
Well, no, I mean, I will. There are other countries that I go to where folks refer to me as, doctor, and I'm like,
Well, and to be fair, like in Native, because I'm also I'm trained in Native American magic, so Sean would be a medicine man. He is the one you go to for all of the things, like, because in his practice, as long, as well as in Native American magic and their lore, it all kind of goes together. You can't have mind and body without spirit. You have to have all three.
Right. And you have to understand where you come from via your ancestors and where you live currently, and understand, doing herbal practice. Anybody who's an herbalist out there or practices herbal magic or anything like that, you guys all know that you have to know, first of all, everything that you need is really, in most cases, right where you are or close. You got to get out of the city sometimes, but there's such a huge variety of different things that alter your energetic flow to make you healthier, to make you stronger and faster and better and empower you, right?
Yes.
So the energies around you, there's something there that will help you, you know, like,
And now we're also seeing where a lot of things have been brought across the pond.
sure, yeah,
See, so like
those are
today
good.
on MeWe, or yesterday I posted about oranges and the benefits of oranges and what they really do.
Right,
Now they're not native here, but we grow them in Florida now, right?
right, but
So
there's a problem with that. Those oranges are actually supposed to take 6 years to mature. Okay.
so they're GMO oranges.
Right, right.
Now,
So
what about the
they're
ones
weaker.
that say they're non-GMO? Because here, like in the South, we have some growers that just
Yeah.
grow stuff,
Uh-huh.
right? And those are the kind of oranges that I use, like
That's
peaches
cool.
too, because they do peaches the same way here.
Right. You just have to research each one. And I'll tell you something else. The land spirits in the local area will either let something survive, okay, or they'll kill it off. Like they'll kill it off with the bugs, or they'll kill it off with some disease or something like that, right?
Right, right.
So
Y'all worried about murder hornets? That is not your job.
I know.
Okay, worrying
Well,
about freaking hornets. That's not your job.
Hey, look, it's not your job. You take that Captain Save-A-Ho cap and take it over to the fire and burn it. All right. And the cape and the cap, they need to go. All right. You need to worry about you, because all these other things that you worry about contribute to your fear, and they don't help you. You've got your own problems that you're totally ignoring because it's easier, so that you can point your attention to some national bullshit that doesn't have jack shit to do with you.
Has nothing to do with you. Also, I wanted to bring it up that everybody is wearing masks, so it's a constant reminder for us to be afraid, right?
Yep.
So in my mind,
symbol.
I had yes. So in my mind, I had to change that symbol subconsciously for myself. I suggest everybody else does that, so that when you see a mask, you're actually thinking health and wellness and not, oh God, COVID-19, right? Because the more you focus on anything, and we're going to cover this till the cows come home, probably in every video, because I preach this and I practice it all the time, and it works really good in my life, and I hope that you'll take some cues and start doing some things for yourselves. Sean does this as well. But wherever you focus in your life, it doesn't matter if it's good or bad and different. Whatever you focus on is what you're creating. And when you create something, it's going to put out a vibration, which will only attract things with that same vibration.
Right.
So if I am thinking fear, and I'm thinking, oh gosh, I'm so afraid, like COVID-19, everybody's got a mask, right? It makes me very hyper aware. But when I'm focused on that, what it's going to do is bring in other thoughts that are going to vibrate on that same frequency. And if we're all doing that, what we're doing is creating a huge pool of energy that even has more momentum, and that is the only thing we can attract in, because you're not in alignment with yourself when you're doing that.
Right.
So make sure that things like that are in your mind, that you're able, and you can do this. Anything that is subconscious, it's hard to control, but if you pull it from the subconscious to the conscious mind, you can control it better. So if you're doing that and you're aware of that, you're going to change how you think about mask, and it will actually start to vibrate something else in. And I think it's time we all start doing that, because I'm pretty sick of it.
There's a transmutation practice that I've been engaging in that's actually a lot of fun.
Oh.
So you know how, like, if you're pagan, or anything that the church, or if you live your life in such a way that 400 years ago the church would have burned you at the stake, which is hopefully most people that are watching this right now, even if you're still in the closet, maybe especially. But the point is, if you're one of those people, then you walk by people all day long that are wearing crosses and that say things like, have a blessed day, and all that stuff, that whatever, right? The mask is the same thing. The religion that those people wearing the mask are engaged in is called, I call it pharma-true. Okay. It's
Okay.
sort of like a Asa true is to being true to the Aesir, and Roca true is being true to the natural world. Well,
Right.
pharma true is being true to the pharmaceutical industry. Okay. Now, they don't necessarily know that that's what they're doing, but this is their religion. And the reason that I call it a religion is because by definition, that's what it, I know it's funny as shit, but the reason that I call it a religion is because there's no scientific proof about what they're doing.
Right.
So if there's no scientific proof, and they're making these decisions because somebody told them to do it, that's a fucking religion, guys. Okay?
Right.
It's a religion.
Right.
So whenever I see the folks wearing the mask, I just know immediately, okay, that's a follower of pharma true. And it's
That is
just
so
like a
funny.
cross. I don't get angry. But I know who I'm dealing with,
Yes,
I
like
mean,
you're out of the matrix now, so you can see
yeah,
what's going on. Right.
right. And lots of us are and being out of the matrix is sort of a step-by-step process. But if you recognize that these fuckers are drinking the Kool-Aid and watching the news, and like 9 times out of 10, you can say, oh yeah, when you see them in like the grocery store or something. I'm not talking about the hospital. I'm talking about, well, really, even the hospital. Those motherfuckers should actually know better than anybody how stupid this is, and many of them do. Okay.
Yes.
Not,
Yeah. A lot of healthcare workers are really getting wise to this stuff.
yeah, they are.
They are. Yeah. It's time. Now,
So,
having that said,
yeah,
like with all of this stuff going on,
yeah,
it is really, really important that people be so self-aware during this time.
yeah.
So that goes back to make sure that you're thinking right when you're going out into public. Like
Right.
I have people all the time. I'm in the South, y'all. Everybody down here, like they have like Methodist meetings about me.
Right.
Okay. They
Yeah.
have a meeting at the Methodist church. My name's involved. But in truth, even though they're doing that, like I understand why they're doing that, but a lot of them come by and they'll say, I'm going to pray for you. And my first response is,
Yeah.
stay out of my vibration.
Right.
Right? Don't pray for me. Do your thing. Work on
Yeah.
you. Because, even those things like you're talking about the crosses and stuff like that, that still puts out a vibration.
Yeah.
Right. And once you guys start seeing these different vibrations out in the world, you can't unsee it. Right. So, which is going to lead me to the next thing I'm going to say, guys, we're going to be doing a manifestation seminar. Sean and I are going to do it together.
Mhm.
And the reason is because we want you guys to be able to get the most out of your lives and understand why you're here and what you're doing here. That'll be coming up on August the 2nd at 2 p.m. You guys can get tickets through me or through Sean.
Mhm.
And I suggest that you come because of some of the things we're talking about power of thought and manifestation and the laws of attraction are new to you.
Mhm.
You're going to want to hear this. If
Right.
you've been root working for 50 years, you're still going to need to know this because these are some things that we're pulling out as we work. So Sean is working in his way, doing his meditations. I'm doing it in my way. We're getting new information in this period of time that other people are not talking about or putting out. And the reason why we're getting it is because during all this stupid stuff that's going on, by us being centered, we're actually downloading a lot of information and meditation. It's a really great time for us to be able to get in and get what we need for growth because resistance always leads to growth. Right.
And,
Okay.
and we're not fucking special. You guys can all do everything that we've been doing. You just have to actually do it,
And
so,
trust it and trust
right.
you.
I teach a class called Udazeta that teaches you how to sort of become aware and learn how to function within your consciousness a little bit. And I tell you what, my students are not having a hard time with this shit. They really aren't. They're not buying into the fear. They're not letting the fear drag them down. They understand it for what it is. And when they have questions about it, they have tools to handle it. So if you're interested in that class, it's called Udazeta, or if you're interested in seeing me in person, that's going to happen because I've been setting up with Melissa Mills a North American tour, and it's starting in Wisconsin here in September, late September, and then and that's already being advertised. You can go find information about that. And I'm looking at other places too, like San Diego, someplace in Texas, someplace in Missouri.
Mobile. We're going to make him come down to Mobile. We want to see him down here. Right.
Well, yeah. And so if that stuff's still up in the air. So if you guys want to see me in person and see how this goes and have a relaxing weekend somewhere away from all your bullshit to be able to sort of enjoy this in a really, really nice environment. If that appeals to you, then pay attention and also let me know where you are,
Now, I will tell you the one that he has coming up. I'm really jealous. I have some jealousy issues. I'm working on myself, right? But like if you go on his MeWe, you can see this house that everybody is going to for the one that's coming up.
That is so
such
cool.
A beautiful house. It is like done completely in natural wood.
Yep.
Even the staircases, like, I blowed this thing up to check it out. It's so beautiful. And it feels like the house itself that was chosen is indicative of the learning and it's going to support the learning. Like there's a lot of cedar wood and stuff like that in there. So anyway, I'm really super jealous. If you guys haven't gotten tickets, if you want to know about it, go on his MeWe and start looking at, some of the stuff he's posting about it there. I'm super, super excited that he's doing this. This is something new for our culture. We don't have shaman that do this anymore. And guys, this is a shaman hundreds of years, like thousands of years, and we have a shaman who's going to be traveling from place to place. So if it's in your budget, then go ahead and make allowances knowing that something's going to be coming near you.
Yeah.
But if you don't have allowances for that, start off with some seminars so we can start you to learn how to attract things into your life so that your life gets better and you have better stability, and then you can go see them. See, like everything vibrates in a certain way, so let's get you there, right?
Definitely.
And I love doing this, and I thank you so much, really, because this is like my own personal Q&A with Sean is what I feel like. Like I do Q&A, I watch him when I can. Like I have a 3-year-old, so it's not always, I'm not always able to catch him. I always do the replays if not. But this is this is like a dream for somebody who watches Sean, because I get to do a one-on-one, I get to ask, I get to talk, and I get to listen. Because you don't know when you're actually doing these Q&As, we're all doing this and you just can't hear us. Right. We're talking back to you. You just don't know it. Every once in a while, we'll type something, right?
Yeah.
So it's such a blessing to have you to do this for us and to help bring us to the point where we can do things for ourselves. And that's the goal of Sean, and that's the goal of me, right? If you guys want to get to where you are empowered and you know yourself and you can move mountains on your own, this is a really good place to start. You can start with him. You can start with me. Also, I'm going to bring her up because, first of all, I'm in love with her. If I was a guy, she would be mine. Okay, but her name is Karen Huber, and she is so beautiful and so sweet inside and out. She is an energetic worker, and she deals a lot with like post-traumatic stress disorder. So if you guys are seeing a whole lot of fear, like really taking you over at this time, you might want to get in touch with her on Revive You on Facebook, because she can actually help untrigger those triggers that are triggering you. She can help you get to a place where you can start healing from some of that trauma that you're carrying around. At this state in our lives, we all have enough knowledge. Nobody should be walking around feeling like they're alone or they don't have resources, and she's a really great resource. So make sure that if you guys are having problems with PTSD, trauma, abusive relationships, or you feel like you just have holes in your energy, she is the girl to go to for that. Right?
Yep.
And if you guys are so stuck that you can't manifest like shit diddly in your life, you need to reach out to me so I can help you manifest some stuff so we can get you rolling. Right?
Right.
And if you want to just become you and figure out who the hell you are and what you believe, you need to reach out to Sean. Okay, I'm done talking now. But I had to talk about Karen because, like, if you have not had a session with her, it is so different than anything I've ever had.
Yeah.
And she's very committed to you becoming well as well.
Yeah. And it's also it's a family tradition. It's a family traditional art for her too. So it's like her doing what she's doing is a way for her to honor her ancestors, just like what I do and just like what you do, you know. That's
right.
We have in common is we learn this stuff from our ancestors.
And what she does, I'm gonna tell you guys, I've known workers all over the world. You guys don't know me, but like I was in the military, so I know people in India and Pakistan and China and a whole bunch of different places, and I have never seen somebody do what she does.
Right.
And that's a mouthful out of me. Yeah. Like, because I've seen pretty much.
Boat. I'm in the same boat. I've been all over the world.
She's amazing.
Yeah, I've experienced lots of different kinds of work, and what she does is absolutely incredible. And
she will also be a guest speaker coming up with Sean. At the first get-together they have, but also other get-togethers. So that's kind of like a great deal if you guys do go and do a weekend with Sean. Chances are Karen is going to be there, and you're going to be able to get some healing energy stuff going too. Yep. On the ones where, so I have a 3-year-old. I had her a little later in life, so I'm not as free, right, as Sean is and Karen is. But when they do hit certain places here in the South, I won't be staying the weekend, but I will be making visits in so that I can meet and greet and stuff like that.
Awesome.
So go ahead and guys and start planning to get your tickets out. I don't know how far Sean's schedule is in advance, but reach out. Yeah, reach out to him on MeWe, right? So he can give you guys like really good information on that.
I'd appreciate it, and I think you guys will appreciate it too. And I was thinking of something funny about Karen is that right now she's going with me to and participating and doing her thing as well. But as soon as you guys figure out who she is, I'm going to be the opener for her.
I keep saying that.
Yeah.
How many times have I said that? Like, she is such a heavy hitter
I
You
know.
guys have no idea. And I'm telling you guys, you don't know me, but I can sling energy from here to across the world. And you can ask anybody I've ever worked for. I can sling shit.
Mm-hmm.
Karen, though, I have never seen something like what she does.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Amazing.
Like I want to go in with her and let her teach me the ways, right? And as soon as I get time, one of these days, I'm going to book her for a whole weekend just so she can show me the ways.
Yep.
I need to understand these energy ways that she does,
Yep.
because she does it in such a way. And I'm going to tell you what it reminds me of. It reminds me of like this cross between the Hindu, the
Mm-hmm.
Chinese,
Mm-hmm.
the Norse. It's kind of like everything combined into one thing,
Yeah,
where
it
it's
is,
like this
isn't it?
omnipresence of just like healing. It's
Yeah.
crazy. If you guys can get her, get her. That's
Yeah,
all I
and
got to say.
her system does not give a shit where you're from or what your problems are. It doesn't matter. It's really cool.
It's an omnipresence. That's what it is. Like the way
Yeah.
she does it, it's an omni energy. It's like this divine source of energy.
Now, don't tell anybody, but I hear it even works on Christians.
Oh gosh, and that's who exactly it needs to work on, right?
I know, right?
And I am not anti. Let's put this out there. I'm not anti-Christian for the people who are Christian, right? If you're a Christian and you need root work, I will go right on to Jesus. Like I know that egregore, I know what it's about.
Right.
But at the same time, like I also have to, while I'm in your presence, tell you what I think about it, because I feel like that, that's how progress is made, and that's how people become, free from slavery.
Yep.
So if you're Christians, don't let that like bug you when you come around to us. We won't brainwash you or anything like that, but we will tell you about how things really work. And when you see what we do works, you're going to change your own mind.
Yeah, that's the way I do it, though, is not that way. The way I do it, though, is if you're a Christian and you come to me, I will show you the way of the devil.
Okay, slowly. He'll do it slowly. He won't just throw
it's
it on
subtle.
you and choke you with it. He'll yeah. I'm slower about transmuting and transforming than Sean is. You may need to come see me first, right, before you come see Sean. But
Actually, I'm a big history buff, and I know the Bible very, very well, and I also know the folks who invented it very, very well.
right.
And so my attitude towards all that is actually it's not as extreme. I'm just making.
I just take pity, I guess. You know what I mean? Like I understand they're in a system that they don't understand.
Yeah.
And then like once they understand though, I think there's no excuse. Like
and also some people just need to take a lifetime off. And
some people do.
that's a great way to do it, because we got lots of lifetimes in front of us and behind us in all directions, so it doesn't fucking matter. It's
Right. And I think
really
that
doesn't matter.
I think that's something really great they can get from your meditation classes and stuff like that, is that sense of well-being that I think everybody misses.
Yeah.
So we're going to wrap it up because we have kids coming in behind us.
Okay.
It's going to get loud here, right?
All right.
I really appreciate you inviting me, and I appreciate this talk. I hope this helps everybody. You can reach out to me on MeWe, on Facebook, or on my website, and that is I am the Psychic Sage, Kimberly Taylor on Facebook, right? My website is aspagans.com. You'll find me there, but you'll also find Sean there and some of his stuff. So if you're looking for runes and stuff like that, he has them listed there. You can also reach out to him at norsepagans.com.
Mhm.
Did I say everything?
Yep, that's it. Oh, Patreon.
And Patreon. Oh, yes. And let me tell you guys, I got on his Patreon, and it is mind-blowing and exhausting because there's so much to learn, and I thought I knew everything. So thank you for that, Sean. Appreciate
You're
it.
welcome. That's what it's there for. It's there for folks that are really hungry and are committed to this path. And so I'm giving you guys what you want.
That's what we need.
Yeah,
You're giving us what we need. Right.
Yeah,
That's
right,
what we need.
right.
Right. So everybody, thanks so much for joining us.
Yeah, thank you.
And whatever else Sean has got to say, and I hope everybody has a really great rest of the afternoon. And if you do need to get tickets for the seminar, make sure you guys reach out. We have limited space.
Yeah, it's very limited actually, but there will be a few of them. So anyway, that's all I got. Thanks everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. Walk with the Ancestors.
Thank you, Sean.